Shit never is as bad as it seems. Fuck a lifespan, this is just one long dream.
How's it going, everyone? It's your man Lost Disciple, the voice box at the underground of YouTube, and welcome back to another story time. That's not on a Sunday. If you guys stuck around me for a while, then you know that I have some pretty crazy sleep experiences and dreams. I would like to say I'm gifted from the man upstairs with some pretty miraculous dreams. Some that are a little bit more wilder than others, but with every gift comes a curse, and with every curse comes a gift. And while I may have some pretty cool fucking dreams, like one time I had a dream, this was like back in 5th grade, this was back in like 2nd grade, I had a dream that I was Spider-Man, and I was just swinging around my neighborhood. I'm pretty sure everybody had a dream where they were like their favorite superhero. I'm pretty, most likely it was Spider-Man, so, but that's not the point, okay? Now, I have sleep paralysis. Now, if you don't know what sleep paralysis is, if you've never experienced sleep paralysis, then consider yourself lucky. Because sleep paralysis is one of the scariest fucking things that could ever happen to a human being. Now, I'm not bullshitting, okay? Sleep paralysis isn't super scary all the time. Like, because I used to get it like frequently on some, like, every night I would go to sleep, I would fall into a sleep paralysis episode, to the point where, like, even to this day, I haven't had them in a while, honestly, now that I'm talking about it, but when I would have a sleep paralysis episode, I would feel like, for me personally, I would, lay down, close my eyes, and I would know I'm gonna have sleep paralysis, because I would have, like, I would feel a sensation of, like, almost as if my eyes, like, rolled to the back of, like, they just dropped out of their sockets and just rolled into the back of my head. And then all of a sudden, I just wouldn't be able to move. Like, my breathing would be like like short breaths. I couldn't breathe like big, deep breaths. So, like, usually, right, because they say, like, there's these things called, like, sleep paralysis demons and shit like that. Now, my first couple sleep paralysis episodes, I didn't see none of that. Mainly because I didn't fucking open my eyes because I was terrified. So I would just, like, keep my eyes, like, shut. I wouldn't fucking open them, and, like, I would try really hard to, like, wiggle my toes and my feet. And it got to the point where, like, I just was so used to it, where I'd go to sleep, I'd close my eyes, and all of a sudden I'd be like, yeah, I'm about to go into sleep paralysis. It happens, wiggle my feet, do a couple maneuvers, and eventually I just go, and I wake up. I actually, like, it was so frequent, right? I managed to record myself having an episode. If I can find it, I will include it in this clip, but if I can't, then that means I just couldn't find the clip of me going into sleep paralysis. So, one thing, I guess I will enlighten the folks on who don't have sleep paralysis on a little bit of what it is. So basically, the science behind sleep paralysis is that your brain goes into, like, these thing called, like, REM sleep, and it's called, like, rapid eye movement. And I guess it's like, my friends are talking, and it's like a well, how would I describe it? They say it's like your eyes, like, dart back and forth when you're dreaming to, like, create images in your head. This is what I read about it. And apparently, like, when you go into REM sleep paralysis is like when you wake up while your body is going into REM sleep. So basically, like, your body's asleep, but your brain isn't asleep yet. That makes sense. That's what the paralysis feeling is. And your brain releases a chemical to paralyze your body, so that way you don't act out your dreams. Like, they say that some people that sleepwalk, like, they lack that chemical that your brain produces to keep you from acting out your dreams, hence why they sleepwalk. So for me, I guess I would just wake up halfway into my sleep paralysis or my REM sleep and then go into sleep paralysis. So because I kind of knew the science behind it, I wasn't really scared when it happened. It was more of like a slight annoyance and a minor inconvenience. And, like I said, I would just, try to I would keep my eyes shut just in case I did see anything. And I would just, like, wiggle around until I woke up. But there were actually a couple times where I heard something. Now, one of the first times, because I used to sleep with my TV on. This was back when I had a TV in my room. I don't have a TV in my room anymore. I broke it. Not because of sleep paralysis or me seeing something. I just was cleaning my room. I knocked into it and it fell down and it broke. So I don't sleep with the TV on. But when I was younger, so I was like, 14, 15? I was like 15, 16 actually. And I used to sleep with my TV on, like, on YouTube and shit. Like, I used to put on, like, angry video game nerd and just have like season 1 through whatever just play all night while I was sleeping. I would wake up and it was still on. So on one of these nights, I went to sleep with my TV on in the background. And me, I still kind of do this to this day. I like to sleep, even though it's so weird because I sleep with the TV on. I like to sleep in like total darkness, or like with a blanket covering my head. Or like what I would do too is I would shove my face into the corner of my bed, into like where it's like nice and cold and dark, and go to sleep like that. So on this night, I was doing that. You know, I was sleeping in the corner of on my bed with my face in the crevice, and I went into sleep paralysis. You know, business as usual. I'm trying to wake up, but this time, right, because I had the TV on, like what I was watching on the TV, my brain. So my brain kind of took the voices from the TV and turned into like this weird, like demonic, dark laughter. And I was scared. But I was scared because I didn't want to hear that or see anything. I didn't want nothing to attack me. But mentally, I knew it was just my brain playing tricks on me. So to explain the scary part about sleep paralysis is that apparently, like, your brain will take what's around you to kind of scare you out of sleep paralysis. So, for example, like I said, my TV was on, so it used the audio coming from my TV and kind of warped it into like that scary demonic fucking voice laughing at me. So I kind of like jumped up, I woke up, and I just kind of like shut the TV off, and I tried to go back to sleep. And sometimes if I try to go back to sleep immediately after sleep paralysis, I would go into another sleep paralysis episode. So sometimes I would have to put, you know, like 15 to 20 minutes in between sleeping and waking up from sleep paralysis to make sure that I actually go to sleep. So this time I was able just to go right back to sleep, no problem. Then another night I was sleeping, I went into a sleep paralysis episode, and this time I heard like a crying. So I gotta probably explain my layout of my house a little bit better. My grandmother's room was not across from mine. It was next to mine, but the door was like across, if that makes sense. So when I was sleeping, when I went in the episode, I could hear like my grandmother crying in the other room and like scratching at my door. That like creeped the fuck out of me. You know, I eventually, you know, I woke up same like I usually do, wiggle my toes, wiggle my feet. I woke up and I just thought about like how creepy that was. Then I have two. These like two where I actually seen something. So the first time I ever seen like a sleep paralysis demon, yo, I was fucking shook. So I used to have like, I had one of those roofs like in my room where it was kind of like slanted. So I was asleep, right? And my bed was kind of like under that part of the roof or part of the ceiling that had like that slant from the roof. And, you know, I was sleeping. I went to the sleep paralysis episode, but this time it was different. This time my eyes were open. Usually my eyes are closed in sleep paralysis. This time my eyes were open. And when my eyes were open, I was laying flat on my back and I was looking up at the ceiling, and I kid you fucking not. Like, oh man, there was like this thing in the corner of the ceiling with like its arms spread out and legs spread out to like kind of hold itself up in place in the ceiling, and it was looking down at me. And as it's looking down at me and I'm looking up at it, mind you, I can't move. I couldn't even close my eyes. I could feel like a sensation of like my intestines getting ripped out of my stomach. Obviously it's not happening because it's like, you know, a dream. But the best way I could describe it, two ways, is like,
I'll be honest.
You ever had like a nerve spasm like in your stomach or in your leg, and like it kind of like shakes a little bit and it's like shaking uncontrollably and it kind of hurts? It was like that. Like that was what was happening like in my stomach. But it felt like the fucking hunter from Left 4 Dead was literally pounced on me and just started ripping and like shredding up my fucking intestines. I couldn't close my fucking eyes, and I'm just staring at it. And eventually, like my mouth opened, and I was just like, like to try to like wake myself up. And I had to sit there and endure it until my body just woke itself up. Like that was one of the first times where I tried to wiggle my toes or move around to wake up, and it wasn't fucking working, like to the point where I couldn't even close my eyes. Then months later, I was at my other house when I had moved, and this was like, dude, if you watched, I had a story time like a couple months ago, maybe even like it might even a couple years ago, and I was talking about a weird dream I had. It was actually the second story time episode I had on this channel, And I was talking about how me and my friend, I won't spoil too much of the dream. If you want to go and watch that video, I highly recommend it. How we were in some like weird fucking woods that we were exploring. And I had found a pool that I had mentioned in that video that I had dreamt that same like pool thing. And I seen a creature or some sort of deity or something on a mountaintop floating at me. It had pale white skin and long black hair. Now, I had seen that, like, the first time I seen that was during the sleep paralysis experience I'm going to get to. So, before I fell asleep, I was closing my eyes. And sometimes, like, when I go to close my eyes, I get, like, weird, like, slideshow images in my head. Not all the time, just sometimes. If you don't believe me, I'm not asking you to fucking believe me, okay? I'm just here to share my experiences. Someone else out there probably can relate to a little bit what I'm saying. And as I'm seeing it, I see, like, this thing. And there's, like, a hole in the ground. And it jumps into, like, the hole in the ground. So I open my eyes and I wake up and I'm just like, oh, that's weird or whatever. I kind of brush it off, and about 25 minutes later, I go to sleep. I forgot to mention, I'm sleeping on a couch. So I wasn't sleeping in my room. I was sleeping in my living room. And I had, like, a hallway. So my living room had a hallway that was connected to my room. So my couch was facing down the hallway to my room. And I was sleeping, like, facing that direction. And when I went to sleep, I had dreamt that I was in my room, and that thing that I had seen in my dream with the pale white skin, it was in my room. So I'll give it a better description because I had seen it up close. It had pale white skin, long black hair, but its face was like a fucking like void. Like you could see like the stars and like the galaxy in its fucking face. It was so scary. Like, I remember that shit to the fucking T. And it had jumped, like I said, in like the hole. There was the hole in front of it in my room. So I was there next to it, and it had jumped in that hole. And all of a sudden, after it does that, I'm put back onto the couch where I was sleeping. And that same fucking thing I had seen is running at me from my room door at the end of the hallway to me on the couch. I jumped up so fucking quick out of that sleep paralysis that I happened to slap my uncle that was next to me, not like laying next to me, but he was like sitting down on the floor next to me out of fucking fear. And he's like, what happened? And I was just like, dude, I seen the scariest fucking thing in my life. I was so scared. I didn't even go back to sleep that night. Like, I just stood up the entire night. I played on my fucking Switch, watched some YouTube videos. Like, I was done with sleeping. I was like, I can't go back to sleep because I don't want to see that again. I was terrified. And then, I was talking to my sister about it, and it goes to show that my sister, strangely enough, whenever I have a weird sleep paralysis episode, she also gets sleep paralysis. So I was like, dude, is that some strange shit to think that our sleep paralysis like episodes are kind of linked together? We both have the same mom and dad. I had to throw that out there because sometimes not every sibling is fortunate enough to have the same parents. So I'm not sure if that has anything to play into it, that maybe someone in our genetic line had like some weird chemical imbalance in their brain that fucks with their sleep or whatever the hell it was. But that definitely scared the shit out of me, and I thought it was weird that stuff like that happens. Till this day, I haven't had a sleep paralysis episode in, I would say, maybe about a year. I'm lucky. I still remember what it feels like, so if I ever happen to have another episode, maybe even just me talking about it, I might have an episode again tonight. But me just thinking about it and like the feeling that I would feel going into sleep paralysis was just like bogus. And something about me and like sleep and dreams, I always have some weird connections, or like some weird shit always happen when I'm sleeping or dreams. Like, I always have some really, really weird dreams. I was going to share another one for another story time, but I'll let you in on one of my dreams that I had before. I was, a recent dream I actually had. In the dream, right? Me and my girlfriend were driving to my mom's house, and my mom, we were driving on the highway. And when we were driving, there was a shooting star that we seen in the sky, and it was like so bright, and it fell like in a straight, it was like falling like straight down, like it was gonna hit like the skyscrapers of the city. And I looked at my girlfriend and I was like, oh, that was a cool. I was like, did you see that shooting star? She was like, yeah. And I was like, that's pretty cool, isn't it? And she was like, yup, whatever. We drive back home, we go to sleep, and I wake up. Yeah. So when I wake up, I'm like, hey, that shooting star we seen last night was really cool. And she looked at me, she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, huh? I was like, did we not see what the shooting star last night, or was that just a dream? She was like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. That must have been a dream. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. That felt like super realistic. And I kid you guys fucking not. Like, I swear to God, I put this on my dead dad's grave, right? The night we went to go watch the Avatar 2 movie, like around the time when it first came out, so like a couple, like maybe I think it was a month ago. And when we were driving back to my mom's house, on the same fucking highway, the same part of the highway where I seen the shooting star, a fucking shooting star, this like it was bright as fuck. It falls and down in a straight line. I look at my girlfriend and I'm like, "Did you see that shooting star?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's pretty cool, isn't it?" And all of a sudden, I just freeze and I look at her, and I'm like, "I dreamt this before." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "No, this exact situation we're in, I dreamt it." And I was recalling to her about that time when I was telling her where I thought we seen a shooting star and it was a dream. And she was like, "Yeah, I remember that." I was like, "That was that." I was like, "That dream was right now what just happened." Till this day, it fucking blows my mind that really happened. And like I said, you don't have to believe me. I don't care if you believe me or not. I know what the fuck I dreamt and I know what I saw that day. And as long as my girlfriend knows that what I seen and what I dreamt was real, I don't need any validation from any of you guys. But just take my word for it. I think, right, that our dreams, not every dream, like the dream where I was Spider-Man, or like a fucking dream where I'm getting chased. Like I used to have nightmares where I was getting chased by the fucking Chucky doll. Obviously dreams like that don't have meanings, but I think sometimes we get dreams that have a deeper meaning than what we realize, and we just don't know it. We just due to pure innocent ignorance. And I'm just gonna leave it off at that note because we're pushing 20 minutes, and I know you guys have short attention spans and other YouTubers to watch. So if you had any sleep paralysis experiences, outer body experiences, I had one outer body experience, but it had nothing to do with sleep. I was doing completely other activity with my friends. If you're interested, I can get into that in another future story time. But yeah, let me know about your experiences with some weird sleep shit or any weird thing that happens to you. My name's Lost Disciple. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you didn't like it, drop a dislike. Leave a comment. Go for it. Just say hi. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Television, fan on the ceiling, abstract art on the walls, living different. 1989, talking on the phone, wind blowing hard, all the windows closed. Turquoise sheets, pink pillows, Motel 6, that's room 24. Meet you in the morning, meet me here tonight. Vibrating bed, gotta say it all right. Black marble sink, gold in the faucets, fresh bar soap, many shampoo bottles. Playing some Atari, she blowing on my cartridge. Room service knocking, I can hear him at the door. Do not disturb, hanging